nobody was there to teach the end consumer what to do with their smartphone once they have it in their hand. The tendencies of retail is to sell the people that's in front of you as much as you can and help the next customer so the next person don't have to wait that long.
Rey Brown combines his love of wireless and mobile technologies with his passion for educating others online. I'm Steve Atwell, and this is Education Hackers.
Rey Brown began his love for wireless technology when he was 17 years old, working at Circuit City. From there, his 11-year journey led him through every major wireless carrier, as well as helping to launch iconic mobile phones such as the Motorola Razr, Palm devices, the iPhone, the Android, and many more. Rey has taken his love for training people on mobile technology and started a company named Smartphones Made Easy, where he wants to help others sync their life with technology. So Rey, before we find out how you became the wireless and smartphone man, tell us a bit more about who you are. Have you always lived in Dallas, Texas? Is it true that everyone carries a gun in Dallas and they are not afraid to use it?
I get that all the time whenever I'm on other shows or whenever I'm talking to people from various spots around the U.S. and I know that you're in Canada, so it's crazy that even you know that. I get that question. So the deal with Texas is, yes, people in Texas love their guns, and there's a lot of gun rights people that will walk around with shotguns. And now, granted, you will not go to the mall or go to a grocery store and just see people with shotguns. You will not see that. But there are the protesters sometimes whenever it's a hot button issue that will have their gun pouch on their waist and their gun will be there and they will openly walk with it. And I don't know all of the laws, but I know in Texas, if you have your gun license, you can have a concealed, I think it's called your CHL, concealed handgun license, that it can be concealed. So any random person, you don't know if they're carrying a gun. And I also know because I have uncles and even a couple of aunts that have pickup trucks and have a shotgun rack behind the back seat inside of the pickup truck with guns there. So yeah, Texans love their guns. And I've lived in Texas my whole life. Dallas, I've been here for 14 years, and I spent the first 14 years of my life in Beaumont, Texas, which is about 5 hours south of Dallas. It's right in between Houston and Louisiana.
Wow, so it's like the Wild West there.
Yeah, but, it's not bad. It's not like people are, getting shot or anything like that. It's pretty much just a protection thing. And, Texas, I used to hate the way the media and TV would portray Texas as if it was this big country with cattle and hunting and all of that. But as I get older, that's really what Texas is, hunting and people, with guns and yeah, so I guess in a way it kind of is like the Wild Wild West.
You've been there for a while, and let's talk about your likes here for a second. You like documentaries, don't you? You recently watched Fed Up, from what I heard. Tell us more about that.
Yes, I love Fed Up, and, it's crazy that you bring that up. I don't want to admit it, but I watched Fed Up, and I said that it changed my life, and it changed the way I look at sugar. But as we do this interview right now, I am drinking a coffee. Coffee is nothing but caffeine and sugar. So obviously the documentary hadn't had that much of an impact to where it broke me from my coffee habit. But with everything else, I would say this. After watching that, I am much more conscious of the food that I eat and sugar. And, with me, I have my wife and we have two young girls. We have a 4-year-old girl, and we also have a 7-month-old. And as I look at them, I want to be as available for them for as long as I possibly can. So I don't want my life to be cut short because I didn't properly take care of my body and I didn't put the right foods in there. So, it's crazy. When I was younger, I used to just eat whatever, whenever. Now I am much more conscious of the foods that I put into my body. So 2 years ago, I stopped eating red meat. And I haven't had any red meat since then. Last October, I stopped eating bread, and I went about, 10 months without bread. And just recently, about 2 months ago, I started eating it again, and I can already see my waistline start to be impacted by it. So yeah, like documentaries, I love documentaries, and I loved Fed Up, and there's like a ton of other food subject matter documentaries that I'm a fan of.
Yeah, for those people that are listening in, Fed Up is a documentary that investigates how the American food industry may be responsible for more sickness than previously realized. Yes, I'm totally into healthy food. Bread is out. I don't usually have bread. I don't know if you read The Wheat Belly. It's a nice book.
I love Wheat Belly. I love it. And that's what got me started on not eating bread.
So let's talk about before you became the wireless man and you created your online course and podcast. What was your passion, really?
Back then, so I'm 28 right now. I started in the wireless industry when I was 17 years old. So before then, I was really heavy into learning about stocks and investing because, I grew up here in Texas, and my dream was to, when I graduated from high school, moved to New York, and I wanted to be a Wall Street guy. And so from the time I was like 14 when I entered high school up until probably when I graduated, I would always read about stocks. I would want to get like 4 or 5 of my friends and we would each have $100,000 in basically imaginary $100,000, and we would pick like 5 or 6 stocks and spread the money into there and buy imaginary shares. And at the end of like 6 to 8 months, we would see who has like the most money, whose stocks did well. Well, we would always start it because it would be fun in the beginning picking stocks, but we never followed it through or whatever. But yeah, I was just always into it. I guess it's just the allure of how the Wall Street guys are portrayed, living very fast lives, having, the financial gains that they have and just living that lifestyle. I was always attracted to it.
Yeah, my background is actually technology, and I've always been in technology, although my passion in college was mathematics. And I didn't really see a future in mathematics, maybe except teaching.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny that you bring up math, because I can remember my junior year in high school, like, I don't know, it was just something about school that didn't interest me. I remember going to, I think, MSN and clicking on the investment tab when I was in the library at school, and I printed out about 30 pages of just how to get started investing and learning about Roth IRAs and 401ks and all of that. And during math class, while the teacher was up there teaching, I wouldn't listen to not one word she said. I would take out these papers with my highlighter and I would just go through that and just learn more about investing. Because in my mind, I told myself, you know what, I would make more money and have a better lifestyle learning to invest than I would listening to geometry. And so I did that, and needless to say, I failed that class. And I ended up taking it in summer school. I guess that was my mindset back then. I was like, well, you know what, I can spend a whole year listening to this teacher ramble on, or I can dedicate 3 weeks during the summer and pass this class. And that's pretty much what I did.
So you had an entrepreneurial mind even back then. You were chasing money.
Yes, I was.
So what led you eventually into creating your course?
Well, what it is, when I was in the wireless industry, I started back in 2003. That's when I started. I think it was like November 2003 when I started at Circuit City working in wireless. And so, if you look at the landscape where technology, as it pertains to smartphones, if you look at where it is today versus where it was just, we'll say 10 years ago, things have progressed at a rapid rate. So being in the wireless industry for all of those years working in retail, what I started to see is that technology just kept advancing and advancing and advancing, but people's knowledge of how to work their smartphones was staying stagnant. And we all know, like, nobody stays the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And I would see people that would come into the stores, pay $100, $200 on their cell phone bill every month. But whenever we would just talk about their smartphone and their favorite features, they would always tell me all they do is make calls, text, check email, and get on Facebook. And I was just like, yeah, but your phone can do so much more. It can help you with your productivity. It can help you if you own your business. It can help you in that way. It can help you in your career. It can help you with your family life. It can help you with your social life. It can make you more healthier. The possibilities are endless to how your smartphone can impact your life. But nobody was there to teach the end consumer what to do with their smartphone once they have it in their hand. The tendencies of retail is to sell the people that's in front of you as much as you can and help the next customer so the next person don't have to wait that long. So, and retail is commission driven. So it got to the point to where it would be looked down upon if you took time with the customer that was in front of you to qualify them, sell them, and then teach them how to use, or at least to get them started using the things that you just sold them. That would be frowned upon because you're quote unquote marrying the customer. You're taking too much time with them. So from there, I decided to just leave the wireless industry, and instead of being part of the problem, instead of being the one that would sell people all of this junk and then not teach them how to use it, I said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate my life, or at least the next 5 or whatever years of my life, to teaching people what to do once you purchase the technology, once you purchase tablets, smartphones, wearables, Bluetooth, and all of that. I want to teach you what to do with it and how it can impact your life. So that's what led to me creating this course.
You saw a need for it, and you said, this is what I want to do. There's a need for it. And you actually got called out by your boss for spending too much time with the customers.
So it was, this was when, well, I'm not going to say the company. I don't want to cast a bad light on them because I completely understand it from a business standpoint. So what happened is we are commission driven, and at the end of every month, we have a one-on-one with our manager where we talk about the previous month's performance, our goals for next month, and talk about the things that we can improve on. And my manager, she looked at me right in the eye and said, whose side are you on? And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, you're spending too much time with your customers. You need to get them what they need and get them out of the door. And so the focus in retail, if you think about it like this, back in the day, quote unquote, a phone would come out and it would be exclusive at one carrier. So AT&T would get a phone, and that would be the only carrier with that phone. Or Sprint would get a phone, and Sprint would be the only carrier with that phone. Well, now manufacturers are releasing a phone, and every single carrier has it. You look at the Samsung Galaxy S5, you look at the Galaxy Note, you look at the iPhone. Those are the 3 most popular phones. When that phone come out, every single carrier has it. So no more do they have an advantage saying we have this phone and you don't. Everybody have the same phone. So now carriers have to differentiate themselves whenever it comes to customer service. And so that's the number one driver in retail right now, is keeping wait times low and helping customers to the point to where they will recommend you to a friend. Because all customers, most of them, receive a survey call after they leave retail asking them, are they satisfied with their visit? Were their problems solved? Did they have to wait longer than like 15 minutes? And also, will they recommend? So this conversation that my manager and I was having was pertaining. Now, my customer service scores were always high because I would take time with the customers that was in front of me. And so they would always reward me when they get the customer service call to ask how my service was. They'd always say it was great. But my wait times were very long because I was taking time to really figure out what their day was like and try to relay all of the features in their phones to how it can impact them day over day. And so my manager was like, no, you need to get them what they need and get them out of the door. You let their son or you let their children teach them how to use the phones, or you let them figure it out. And so that night when I left and went home, I took the long way home, and I just thought about it. I was like, man, like this really isn't for me anymore. It's almost like I feel guilty. I feel like I'm part of the problem. I really want to do something else. And at that point, I was getting more enjoyment out of training people than actually selling them. Although I love sales, I think it's fantastic. But I just wanted to be a trainer. So it was that night that I decided that I would start working towards creating something on my own where I'm in charge of training people.
Noble cause there. If you look at the way things are right now, Apple stores are all about customer service. And other companies like Microsoft, Samsung, they're copying the Apple model, which is all about service, trying to create a great product and then provide excellent service.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Apple is letting their brand And Apple is letting their, like you said, their customer service basically be the driver for their products instead of letting their products be the driver for people coming in stores. No, people just love interacting with Apple reps. They're always happy. They're overly helpful. And so that's the driver, and that's what I really like. And that's how, and like, I even like sometimes I just go into an Apple store and just go in there and ask questions and just kind of walk around just to see how their reps are interacting with customers. And then that kind of shapes how I interact with people, because I'm looking at people's reaction inside of retail. And I'm like, okay, I want this person to have this same reaction when I talk to them about their phone or about helping them learn how to use their Galaxy or their iPhone. And so, yeah, I think Apple is setting the standard as it pertains to customer service.
It's funny you should mention the Apple Store and just walking in there and talking to the reps there, because it's such a welcoming place, isn't it? You can walk in there and just look around and browse around, even though there's nothing you really want to buy because you already have the products, but you feel like just walking in there. So it's a very welcoming place. So you created a course. Tell us more about the course. Give us a bird's eye view of the course.
Okay, so I'll tell you this. This course right here, when I started out, I wanted to get really, I wanted to pour every single thing that I knew about the iPhone into this course, and I started to do that, and I let a few people experience it, and I was like, Ray, this is a lot. It's almost overwhelming. They said, we want the iPhone 101. We just want to get started. So what I did is I thought about, if I knew nothing about the iPhone and I bought this course, what would I want to learn? And just for starters, I would want to learn the basics. I would want to learn just the bare minimum, how to get started with the iPhone, how to get going. And once I have a solid foundation, then I want to get really intricate and learn, like iPhone 102 or whatever. So what I did is just a 20,000 foot view. I created about 40, I think right now I'm at 40 videos, just screen shares from my phone to my computer, showing you how to get started with the iPhone, walking you through all of the native iPhone apps, letting you know the ins and outs of those, and walking you through the settings and helping you to customize the iPhone based on how you are going to use it, whether you're going to use it just for social, whether you're going to use it for business, whether you just want like a phone that's somewhat your personal assistant. I want to help you customize and get your phone there. And so that's the 20,000 foot view.
Listen to your podcast. Your podcast is actually on the same or similar topic. And I went to your website and I learned something new. I'm in technology and I've been using an iPhone for a long time. I just looked through some of the material you have, and I thought, wow, I started using keyboard shortcuts, which I hadn't used before. So I learned something from your website and your podcast. You have a lot of stuff to cover, actually. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I'm glad that you were able to go and immediately find some value. That makes me feel great. I love helping people and adding value to their lives.
When you created your course, let's take a look at your course in a little bit more detail in terms of the ins and outs of it. What was the biggest mistake that you think you made when you were creating your online course?
I wanted to pour everything that I knew about the iPhone into one course when I should have. I think the biggest mistake is I overwhelmed people with information when I should have scaled it back from the beginning. And so, the iPhone was announced, I think, or the iPhone came out, I believe, on September 19th. The course is just coming out in November. I think November 1st is when it launched. My plan was to have it launched in October. But what happened is, like I say, I poured everything into it, and that prolonged me getting the course done. I should have just, from the very beginning, started asking people what do they want covered the most, and then I should have just went with that and just added to it as I went on. So next time I go to build a course, before I get started, instead of me driving the curriculum, I'm going to let my target audience drive the curriculum.
And you have this hosted on your website, your private website. It's not on any public platform?
No. So here's what I did. And this is where I think my course differs. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm testing this out. When you think about somebody learning how to use their smartphone, they are mobile, and I didn't want something to where I wanted people to be able to learn from their smartphone. and not use data. So when I went to create this course, I thought about it and I said, well, if I keep the videos on my website, the people that go through the course are going to have to be on the internet from their smartphone. They're going to have to log in and then watch the videos. And that is going to kill their data when it comes to streaming content. Most people may not have unlimited data. They may be on a shared plan and only have 3 gigs of data to split amongst 2 or 3 people. So what I did is I put all of the videos in Google Drive. And what I encourage people to do is download the videos either to your computer, to your tablet, or to your smartphone when you are connected to Wi-Fi. And what you should do is put like 2 or 3 videos on your phone and say, I'm going to go through these two or 3 videos today. That way, the videos, if they download them over Wi-Fi, will be saved to their phone memory. It'll be saved to their hard drive. They don't have to use internet to go through the course, and they can go through the videos at their leisure. They can be sitting outside of their child's school with 10 minutes to spare, waiting for school to get out, and they can just go to their phone or go to their tablet and watch a video right there without using any data. So yeah, I put everything in Google Drive, and I encourage them to just download the videos and you go through it whenever you want to.
Yeah, Google Drive is great. I use it all the time. So there's no issue with Google Drive in terms of sharing. I mean, there's no limit in terms of how many downloads people can have. Are you paying extra for that?
No, I'm not paying anything extra for it, and to my knowledge, there's no limit on it. So what I have is I'm paying $5 a month for Google Apps for Business. I'm sure you've heard of it, and I have my email domain. My email is technically a Gmail account, but my domain is Smartphones Me, which Me is abbreviated for Made Easy. So basically, with Google Apps for Work or Google Apps for Business, I have an organization set up. And with that, Google Drive give me 30 gigs of storage instead of 15. So what I do is I have all of the videos in a folder that's titled iPhone 6 Masterclass. And whenever somebody buys the course, immediately they receive a PDF download with instructions telling them, okay, here's the link to Google Drive. I first want you to listen to the welcome audio, and the welcome audio will direct you, tell you how to download the videos and so on. And from there, just download it. And I set that folder as I gave people access. You can either add people's email address, that the people that you want to give access to, or you can put it to where anybody with this link can access the video. So that's how I set it. So that way I can just have the link in a PDF and they download that and then they have access. And I haven't heard anybody say, hey, Ray, I can't download the videos or anything of that nature. So from what I understand, Google doesn't care. They will let, 1,000 people download the videos if need be.
See, that brings me to another question. I've been talking to a number of people about how to serve your course. And if it's a link, that's a link that anybody can access. How do you protect that link? Say somebody shares the link with somebody else.
Yes, anybody with that link can access the course. So technically, somebody could buy my course, put the link out on Facebook, and have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and all 5,000 of those people go and just get the course free. But you know what? If that happens, I'm not worried about that. And I know most people would be, but I look at it like this. If somebody downloads my course free, or if a friend buys it and pass the video, and as a matter of fact, if you listen to my welcome audio, at the very end of the audio, I tell people, do whatever you want with these videos, share them, share them to whoever you want to. If you have a grandmother, a mother, a father, a friend that's struggling with their iPhone, share the videos with them, because what I really want to do is I want to build a community and I want to build an audience. So let's say you were to buy the course and you have a business partner that just bought the iPhone 6 or maybe have the iPhone 5S and is running software iOS 8 and he's struggling. So you say, hey, here's access to this course. I bought it from a guy named Ray, and he have all of these videos on here. This will help you get your email set up and so on. Well, then, I have my web address on each and every video. So that person watching the video, they're getting value from it. They're enjoying the videos and they see my web address. Well, then they're going to go to my website and they're going to say, oh, this guy has a podcast. This guy have blog posts. Let me follow him in social media. He provided content for me this way. And so that person may become a follower of mine, and later on they may buy something from me, or they may tell 3 or 4 other people about my course. And so I think I really won from that. This is my very first product, and I don't want to sound cliche-ish, but I'm really not doing my first product to profit from it. I'm doing it to build community and to get the word out about myself, because I want to be found, and I think it's free marketing. If somebody buys my course and then shares it with other people, I just got free marketing from that person. So yeah, I don't really care if people share the link.
Wow. So you're building a brand and you're building a reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have a huge following just because you're sharing some awesome content. At the same time, you spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in this course.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So you will be getting something from it, and, it's not going to be everybody that's doing this. Tell me, are you covering tablets as well as smartphones?
Yes, I haven't covered tablets much, just because I first want to hone in on smartphones, and then I want to branch out and do tablets. But, as we record this, it's December, and I'm working my plan for next year. And next year, I will have a heavy dose of tablets, and I will have a heavy dose of smartwatches and other wearables and Bluetooth earpieces and so on. So I didn't want to overwhelm people in the beginning and cover smartphones and cover tablets. Not everyone has a tablet, but pretty much everyone have a smartphone. So I wanted to get that covered first, and then now I'll start branching out into tablets.
That's a great strategy. Yeah, tablets have really, really taken off. So it'd be great if your next course was on tablets and then eventually smartwatches. I don't know. I don't actually wear smartwatches myself, or any kind of watch actually. I just use my phone. I use a smartphone. Smartphone is the number one thing that I carry everywhere.
You know what, Steve? I'm the same exact way. I don't wear any jewelry at all. I don't have earrings. I do have my wedding band. I forget that inside of my nightstand. And watches, my watch have bought me, I think, 2 or 3 watches over the course of our 4-year marriage. And I probably worn them to church or worn them to like dinner sometime. But other than that, I just don't wear watches. But I am going to get Apple's Apple Watch whenever they release it next year during the first quarter. And I'm going to use it. Who knows? I may wear it for like 2 weeks, or I may wear it for a month and then just decide I don't want to wear it anymore. But I am going to experience it, and I may try to force myself to start wearing watches.
Yeah, if there's a compelling reason, it's something you need. That's how Apple does things. They create something that you actually need.
Yeah.
You can end up buying it and you can't live without it.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit more about your workflow. You created these videos. Did you outline each section with a script? Did you record the video first, then the audio? Or did you do both together? How did you capture the screen of the smartphones?
So, I would like to tell you that I had this awesome workflow, but here's exactly what I did. I have a whiteboard right here in my office, and I just took my phone out over the course of, I think, 2 or 3 days, and I just went through and just wrote down everything that I wanted to record a video on. So I first started out with the native apps, then I started out with getting started, and what I did is I did a hard reset. Of course, I backed my phone up to iTunes, and I just completely reset my phone and told myself, okay, I'm getting started. What do I need to do? And as I went through and put everything back on my phone that I previously had, I just started writing things down on my whiteboard. So I had about, I think, 80 different things written down. And I was talking to a couple of guys in my mastermind group, and they said, Ray, that's way too much. You need to scale it back. And so somebody brought this up to me. They said when artists go to record their CD, they record probably about 40 or 50 songs, but only 12 of those songs make it on the CD. So they said, Ray, just because you came up with all of this, that doesn't mean you have to put it in a course. You go and pluck out the things that will add the most value to your audience, and that will make the course, and everything else could be like the mixtape that's leading up to you releasing your CD. It could be like blog items. It could be video teasers that you tease out on social media. And so that's exactly what I did. So I took these all of everything I had written on my whiteboard. I plucked out. I didn't scale it back to 12. I scaled it back to 40. And I took the 40 most impactful topics, and I went through. I used a app called Air Server, since the Mac has AirPlay and the iPhone has AirPlay. I mirrored my iPhone screen to my MacBook, and then I used ScreenFlow to record my actions. And so that's how on the course I have an actual iPhone on the screen showing each and every move that I make, and then my full screen is recorded, and that's how I did those videos.
Was that in 720p? Does that do 720p or 1080p, or like it was good resolution?
Yeah, it was 720p. Now, part of the reason why I put it in Google Drive also, because if I would have put it on YouTube or put it, I think Wistia will play it in 720p, but there's a lot of services that won't play it in the quality that it was recorded in. So I figured if I put it in Google Drive, then when people download it, they will see it in the exact quality that it was recorded in, and it won't like dwindle it down and make it like non-HD.
Yeah, that's smart. If you put stuff on YouTube, you have to choose the quality that you want to play back in.
Exactly.
That's an extra step. Okay, so you have a podcast that's on the similar topic. How does that tie in with your course?
So I have two different podcasts. One is called iPhone 6 Masterclass, and the other one is called Smartphones Made Easy. Smartphones Made Easy is where I talk about all smartphones. iPhone 6 Masterclass was basically like the prequel to my course. What I did is I said, okay, and this was, I think, 2 weeks before the iPhone 6 was announced. I went in and I named it, of course, iPhone 6 Masterclass, and I submitted it to iTunes, and the podcast got accepted 1 week before the actual announcement. So I created, I think, 2 or 3 episodes where I just speculated and talked about what I thought the iPhone 6 was going to have. Well, what that did is that gave me ranking. So right now, if you go to iTunes and you type in iPhone 6, the very first podcast that shows up is mine because I got the ranking for that. And I wanted that to basically be my lead magnet to introduce people to me that was already searching for the iPhone 6, introduce them to me. I wanted to record just a bunch of shows telling them verbally how to do certain things on their iPhone. And then if they wanted to see it on video, then they can go and purchase the course. So that was basically me providing value for people that either have the iPhone 6 or are searching for information on the iPhone 6. They would find me that way, and then they may purchase the course, they may not, but I just wanted to add that value, and I wanted people to be aware of me and aware of, what I provide, and other than that, I want to help them. So that podcast is basically the verbal part of the course, and that's completely free. If people don't want to buy the course and they just want to listen to the podcast and learn that way, I'm 100% fine with that, because I want to add that value, and I want to build up that know, like, and trust factor with them.
Again, you're building a brand. You're out there. You're telling people how to use their smartphones.
Yes, sir. I'm trying.
One question I always ask is, how do you take payment? And what payment system do you use, and why?
I use PayPal. So I'll tell you this, like my whole life, every website that I've had, I've used Squarespace. But as I got into, I guess, internet marketing and creating an online course, I saw the shortcomings of Squarespace, like with the plugins and different widgets you can add to your website. So I switched over to WordPress, and I didn't want to pay anybody to do it because I ultimately wanted to learn how to do it on my own so I wouldn't have to rely on other people. And so I taught myself everything that I know about WordPress. So when it came to adding the e-commerce portion of the site, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just did everything through PayPal because that seemed like the easiest route to go. So whenever you buy the course, it'll take you to PayPal's website, have you pay that way, then it'll redirect you back to my site.
Very simple and easy.
Yes.
So looking back, tell us, what was the one tool that you absolutely needed to create your online course?
I would say Air Server and ScreenFlow. Without that, it would have made things difficult. I would have had to have somebody film my hands as I go through and complete the course. So
that would have been a little difficult.
Very.
So is it true that iPhone 6 Plus is bendable?
Well, yeah. All right. The whole uproar about the iPhone 6 Plus bending, Apple said that it was only 9 people that this problem affected. And so it's like, okay, like every single iPhone that come out, there is some media or just user generated problem. Like the whole thing with and I'm left-handed myself, but if you're left-handed and you hold the iPhone a certain way, you won't have any service because your hand is blocking the antenna or whatever. I don't know if that was a real problem or not, but with the iPhone 6 Plus, I mean, it's a big phone. If you snap it in half. At some point, the force is going to bend it. But as far as just normal wear and tear, no, it won't bend. I've tried several times with different iPhone 6s, and maybe I'm not strong enough, but I couldn't get it to bend on my own.
People are trying to do something to these phones that they weren't designed for.
Oh, yeah.
If you put it in your back pocket and you sit on it all day, yeah, it is going to bend.
Yeah, it's almost common sense. It's like, seriously? I don't know. It's laughable sometimes.
Yeah, how do you market your course? What's your most successful method to market it?
Well, for iPhone 6 Masterclass, it's the podcast, because that's where people find out about me. And I receive emails all the time with people thanking me, saying, Ray, I found you. I was looking for a podcast on the iPhone 6, and I just typed in iPhone 6, and I found your podcast, and it's great. And I decided to buy your course. Like, I literally had someone on Thanksgiving that on Thanksgiving Day bought the course. And what I did is I called the guy, because I want to make this as personal as an experience as I possibly can. He bought the course, and he had to provide his number whenever he did so. And I just picked up the phone, and 5 minutes after I received the email saying that he purchased it, I called him. His voicemail picked up. I left him a voicemail saying, hey, this is Rey Brown from Smartphones Made Easy. I want to thank you for purchasing a course. My email address is attached to the PDF. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Well, then I sent him an email, and he emailed me back a couple of hours later and said, hey, Ray, I found your course via the podcast, and you provide so much value on there. I wanted to buy your course. He said, I'm traveling across the country right now. That's why I didn't answer the phone, but I downloaded a couple of the videos from Google Drive, and I'm going to watch them while I am on the plane, and I'm going to learn how to use this thing. And I was like, see, that's the impact that I want to have.
Exactly.
And so, yeah. And so the podcast has been like my number one generator.
I can't imagine getting Wi-Fi on a plane unless you're paying a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't ask him how he did it, but what I'm guessing is when he was at the airport, when he bought the course, he saw a couple of videos. He may have listened to the welcome audio or read the PDF and maybe downloaded a couple of videos while he was connected to Wi-Fi at the airport. And on the airplane, you have to put your phone in airplane mode. So he probably did that, but that still allows you to watch the videos because they're downloaded to the phone's hard drive. And that's exactly what I had in mind whenever I did it through Google Drive, so you don't have to use data to go through the course.
And these videos must be optimized for the smartphone, so they must be smaller.
Yeah, I think the largest one may be, maybe 50 megabytes. And when you think about there's 1,000 megabytes in 1 gigabyte, and I think the very smallest iPhone have 8 gigabytes. And if you have an iPhone 6, then chances are you have a 16 gig, a 64, or a 128. So you can download a couple of videos to watch, and it won't impact your memory in that much of a way.
And do you have to update your phone every time there's a new iPhone out?
It depends on what Apple changes. And so that's the one thing I guess that's good for me, is that I pretty much will never be out of business, because each and every time, like when Apple released the iPhone 7, well, they're going to change up a lot because they want to give people a reason to buy the 7 and not stay with their 5S or their 6. And so therefore, I will have to create another course showing people, what the 7 have that the 6 didn't. And so, yes, I will have to update it, and that will be a completely separate course that I create.
I still have the iPhone 4. And I'm in the process of upgrading to iPhone 6. I skipped the iPhone 5. I didn't see too many changes, and I wanted to wait for the 6. Do you have any predictions for what's coming down the pipeline?
I don't, because, and that's the thing. Each and every phone that come out, you ask yourself, this phone does so much. Where do we go from here? How can we possibly get any better than this? And lo and behold, whether it's Samsung, whether it's Google, whether it's Motorola, LG, HTC, Apple, they always come out with something where we're like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. But pretty much with Apple payments, we saw that coming. And the iPhone 6, honestly, it doesn't have anything that's just mind-blowing or breathtaking. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here, because we're going to reach that ceiling to where the smartphones, like, there's nothing else left to invent, or there's nothing else left to do. And you kind of see that now with wearables coming into play, to where now they're going into smartwatches, fitness bands, and things like that, because a smartphone have pretty much, at least to my knowledge, have pretty much reached its peak.
I think the biggest thing I would like to see is an improvement in the battery.
Oh, yes, of course.
My girlfriend, she has the iPhone 5. The phone would be at, I don't know, it would be at 40% according to the battery indicator, and then all of a sudden it would die. So she went to the Apple store and they replaced the battery. It was a faulty battery. But on average, if you turn your 3G on or use Bluetooth or whatever, you put a couple of these extra features on, your battery drains very quickly. The battery is a big, I think, stumbling block when it comes to using the smartphone for a long, extended period of time.
Well, yeah, the iPhone here in America has 4G, depending on the company. I think all companies, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T, they all have 4G. Sprint is, I think all of them now is LTE, and even Verizon have something called XLTE, which is supposed to be like LTE times 2. So yeah, there's 4G on all of the iPhones here. Now there will be maybe like a 5G or, something that comes out that's faster than that.
I get questions all the time between what's the difference between 4G and LTE. It seems like in Europe, they're ahead of us in terms of some of the technology. They seem to be, getting the smarter networks, faster networks. Even the home theater, television, and cable, what they call cable is actually satellite, a combination of satellite and a few other smart features. So we seem to be lagging in North America when it comes to speed.
Oh, yeah, I agree 100%. You always hear about faster speeds, and you see like benchmark tests that's run on the phone. You see like the international version versus like the US version. The international version speed-wise just completely crushes ours. And I'm like, come on, we're supposed to be on the cutting edge of all technology over here. But I don't know, maybe it's just arrogant, American speak.
How do you support your members? Like somebody buys a course, do you have a private forum? Do you respond to emails? How do you support your buyers?
Yeah, I respond to their emails, and what I did, just because I really value face-to-face talking, where that person can look into my eyes and I can look into theirs, and we can just have a great conversation the way that you and I are right now. So what I offer, let's say that you have the Samsung Galaxy S5 and you want to learn how to use it. Well, I offer a 1-hour session with me over either Skype, over Google Hangouts, or just talking over the telephone. We can even FaceTime if you want to. I use that. Now, if you buy the course, just for a limited time only, I'm throwing in a 1-hour session. So that way, I tell you, go through a couple of videos in a course, write down some questions, and then let's meet. It can be in 4 15-minute increments, 2 30-minute increments, so we can get the whole hour out of the way. And you can ask me whatever questions you want. I can show you demonstrations with my phone, walk you through how to do something on your phone right there, and it'll be just like you're at a retail store and getting some help. And so that's for the most part how I support them. Now, as I develop my strategy for 2015, what I am in the process of doing, and I haven't talked about this publicly yet outside of my mastermind group, what I'm going to do is create a membership site, and every course that I release, the members are going to get that course free. It's just going to come with the membership, and then I will sell the course as a standalone. So the membership site right now, and this could change, is only going to be $9.99 a month, and every course I release, they're going to get access to the course, and I'm going to give bill tips, saving money on your bill. And it's just going to be a membership site where we can talk about all things mobile. I will tell you the ins and outs of all the carriers, and it'll just be like just a big group where we all talk about our smartphone. I'm going to bring on app developers and have app developers give away like free codes to download their app free and tell us how to use their app, and tell us all the hitting gems and how to optimize their app to use their best. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now, is just building a membership site, so that way I can really harness the power of having a community with everyone helping everyone, because I don't know everything. So I will learn from the community members just as much as they will probably learn from me.
I'm going to have you back, see how you're doing with your membership site once you actually have that set up.
Yeah.
Take a few minutes and offer your best, most practical advice to anyone thinking of creating their own first online course.
Let's see. I would say put yourself in the shoes of the people that will be using your course. I hate referring to myself as an expert because when I think of an expert, I think of someone that already know everything. So they're like on a scale way above the people that they are teaching. So I refer to myself as a smartphone enthusiast. And whenever I say that, I remind myself that I'm not an expert yet. So I need to learn from people as much as I can. So when it comes to creating your first online course, although you may refer to yourself as an expert, you may actually be an expert, get that thinking out of your mind whenever you're creating your course. Do not sit in the seat of an expert. Sit in the seat of someone that knows nothing about what you are teaching and just write down, have a brain dumping session saying, if I knew nothing about this, but I wanted to learn about it, what would I want to learn first and how would I want to learn it? And what you are doing is you're putting yourself in the seat of your audience, the people that's going to purchase the course. And that way you create a course, you're basically meeting them where they are and you're bringing them up to speed wherever you are. Do you get that, Steve?
That's brilliant advice. A lot of times we know more than we should. We assume that other people know what we know. That's great advice, to step back. Like you said earlier, you reset your phone and then you set it up from, like it was bare bones. There was nothing on there. And then you went through the whole process of setting it up the way that you wanted to set it up and adding all the features and showcasing the different features and so on. Taking it from the point of view of somebody that doesn't know anything at all. And that's great advice.
Yes, sir. You're 1,000% right about that. Because look, and I'll say this and I'll be very quick. So one of the people that bought the course, she sent me a long list of questions for our 1 hour session. And I was reading those questions, and five of her questions was very basic stuff that I didn't even cover in the course. And I was like, why didn't I cover this? And then when I sat back and thought about it, I said, that's because I thought everybody know this. And it was something that was a given. I didn't have to cover it, but obviously they don't. So that's when I kind of kicked myself and said, you have to put yourself in the position of someone that knows nothing about this, because this is something that what it was clearing up memory on your phone. And they have a couple of podcasts, some music, some videos, some pictures that they take in their apps, and they run out of memory. And the lady asked me, how do I know what's taking up my memory and what is other? And so I was like, man, this is something that this is probably one of the first videos that I should have made, but I didn't because I thought it was a given to everybody. So then I went in and I created that video and I put it on there.
That's amazing. I do the same thing. When I'm talking to somebody, I kind of skip sometimes and I assume things which I shouldn't be. That's great advice. Ray, thank you so much for being on the show. It has been an absolute delight speaking with you. We could talk for hours because I use my smartphone all the time. We could talk about apps. We could spend hours talking about smartphones.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Tell us, where can people reach you online?
You can find me on my website at smartphonesmadeeasy.com. And let's see, my Twitter handle is I am Rey Brown, and Ray is spelled ReyBrown. And so that's pretty much where I am. And you can, my podcast is iPhone 6 Masterclass, and I have one titled Smartphones Made Easy. So you can find me on iTunes or Stitcher that way.
Connect with the wireless and smartphone man. I'll have all the links in the show notes.
Yes, sir. And thanks for having me on, Steve. This has been a complete pleasure.
If you enjoyed this episode, just subscribe to the podcast and future episodes will be downloaded automatically for you. Check out the show notes at educationhackers.com to get links to resources we talked about in this episode. See you next time.